How are you? My name's Maria. Welcome to my channel MH Books. Big cup of coffee, some brown chocolate, and I'm going to talk about a book I read this week. Oh, no, some pimple that's driving me crazy, but what can you do? Mask wearing during the day. And yeah, I'm going to talk about a book that affected me this week. And a book that affected me last year. And both books have a lot in common. They have a lot of differences. And the problem I have is that it's been over a year since I read the first book, and I wish that I had read both of them together. So I'm going to talk about the first book I read first. I have scribbled some notes, see my horrible handwriting, to try and remember some things about this book. The first book is not as popular as the second book, and the second book is not nearly known well enough. Both are set in London. Both are set in working class London. The first book is The Study Circle, and I have to open it up here because when I don't have a book, I feel like I'm going to say, I know the last name is Khan, Haroun Khan. Okay, I always feel like I need, when I don't have the prop, I feel like I'm going to say it wrong. I'm going to say a completely different name. So when I do that, please, yeah, people point out in comments, good, do, please. Because I need to be aware when I do that. So the first book is The Study Circle by Haroun Khan, which is set in North London in blocks of flats. I am going to shift myself here a little bit so I can put up more space to pick up pictures. And the picture that I have for the book, because I listened to an audio, so the book shows 3 tower blocks in the north, sorry, the south London. I have to remember one book's in the North London, one's in South London. And this book was about Ishak, who is just left school, and I had a friend in school called Sham, and it's about both of their lives. They're both Muslim young men, and they're living in these set of flats, and it opens up with Ishak, who is a devout Muslim, going to a Quran class on the 17th floor of one of these tower blocks. And it's about the racism that they're experiencing, about his own racism too, because Ishak is he had there's just one scene where he's listening to, he could, you know, when you live in flats, you can hear your neighbors. And there's just this one scene where he's listening to or overhearing a tender moment between an elderly white couple who were next door to him. And he genuinely didn't believe or understand before then, as you know, I think he's about 1920, again, it's been a year, that white couples could actually have moments like that. He thought this was only things that people like himself, his own family could experience. He didn't think white people reacted like that, because he's used to seeing his stereotypical white people out on the street and being drunk and wearing their overly short skirts and being totally disrespectful. So it's about the clash of ideas, the racism he's feeling, even from his own institution. The man is a PhD student, and he's offered, well, he wants to be a PhD student, and he's offered the PhD under some very, you know, he's going to have to give up some of his political ideas to accept this. And he has this debate whether he's going to do it, whether it's right or not. And he also believes that that Muslims that who just say, you know, you should just get on with it and get on with other people are completely wrong. Well, his family, that's all they want him to do. So he has all this inner conflict. And meanwhile, his friend Shams is just not as bright. It's been naive. Is being used a lot by people around him. And you're not sure, is it the British government in the MI5, or is it actually the person he's working for, who is an ex-convict, and this is the only man he can get a job from because he's not of the right skin color. I mean, there's a lot of things come up in this book. I remember, like, just when you're saying, like, you know, Ishak saying, like, you know, when they grew up, before they were just these pretty brown boys, but when they grew up, all of a sudden they were threats and seen as threats on the streets, and how that affects them. So it's all this, and meanwhile there's an EDL march about to happen in 3 days, and in 3 days time, I can never remember what the acronym actually stands for. Did I remember to put that up? I should have put that up. I will put that up. It's English, so against something or other, whatever they want. They want everybody. It's an anti-Islamic march by white English people, basically. I'm sorry if I just ruined our politics, but it's the same old. So it's about all the oppression he's feeling from society, from all the rest of it, and this tension at this horrific event, because something terrible is going to happen in 2 or 3 days' time when this happens. This contrasts with the book, which is more or less about the same thing, but takes a different approach. And this one is Guananas, and I actually did save this so he could say his own name for me. Where are you, mister? Please say your name for me.
Hello, I'm Guy Gunana.
Gunana, okay? So I can Gunana. So I'll probably remember for 3 seconds. And oh, that's more or less there. I got it wrong. I did. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, will you tell me how to say it? Are you sure? No, okay. So in our Mad and Furious City, by Guy Gunana. Sorry, I'm so sorry. I do really, really try. Was won the Jhalak about 2 years ago, which is why I read it, because Jhalak list came out this week. Incidentally, I will be reading 6 out of the 12 of the long list, and that's only reason I'm not reading all of them is because I can't read quick enough. So I will be reading 6 of the 12 before the short list is announced, hopefully. So that's as an aside. So in Mad and Furious City, now this one is about we have 5 characters, and it's told from their perspectives. Again, we have young men who've just finished school. So it's Sevlan, Arden, and Yusuf. Yusuf is called Yuz. And Sevlan, which I hope I'm pronouncing his name right, because I even have the advantage of an audiobook here, is mad into football. And actually, all 3 are. Their religion is football. If the study circle is about their religion is Islam, these guys, their religion is football. And they play in the States. Literally, that is all they have in common, and they're actually really good friends, which is a real, this is, what male friendship is like. Very insightful. So Sevlan is, because I'm looking down at the name, so I remember to talk about them all. Don't skip anybody. He wants to get out. He lives off estate, but he spends all his time on the estate with the people. So these 4 flats, again, is just, I think it's more or less they just call it estate in the book. There was a name on it at one stage, but the characters call it estate all the time. And they live in one of these 4 blocks, and in between the 4 of them is their football pitch. And between the 4 of them is where the crisis will occur by the end of the novel. And so Sevlan, that's him in the front, actually, as it happens. It's a very good, for once, description of a book. He's mad into fitness. He thinks the Olympics and things that are his way of getting out. Arden. So Sevlan is a young black man. Arden, you're not told his ethnicity at the beginning. You work it out as you go along. And that's the thing that's central to this book. It's not as important as it would have been in the study circle. That's me looking again going, what's the name of the other book? And Arden is into music. You start off and he's on the top, so let's say that one, at the top of one of the flats, and he's watching Sevlan run by, and he's making up verses as he goes. He's mad into it. Into music and spoken word, and I'm using the wrong terminology because I'm not straight kid. And that's centrally upon. And Yusuf, who's called Use all the way through the book, is His dad was the Inman, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, which is a leader in the because I had to look it up, in the local the local mosque, and Muslim church mosque, and has just died, and something's up with Yusuf's brother. Then we have two older characters which don't exist in the other book, which is where I thought this one got interesting, because being older. So we have Nelson and Caroline. I can't read my own handwriting. Nelson is from Montserrat in the Caribbean, and he emigrated, and from the sounds of it, to London in the 1950s. And Caroline is from Northern Ireland, and she was forced to go to London because of an incident that happened during the Troubles, but you're not told exactly what it is. And what every single character has in common is they're all feeling oppression. And, none of them are innocent in this too. And violence from a community which is being supported by the governments where they live. So Carolina would have been British soldiers in Northern Ireland because she was Catholic. Nelson moved during the 1950s. Was experiencing, not just racism, but the police supported the racism. And Severin, Arden and Yusuf all feel more or less the same thing, but they all feel trapped into, they want to play football, they want to make music or whatever, win their rapping game if you're Arden, and Yusuf literally just wants to know what's up with his brother. So you have all these people caught in this, and then the beginning of the book, which we're only now getting to, a soldier has been killed by presumably one of the brothers, as in one of the people from the estate or somebody similar. And again, we have these massive protests about to happen in 2 days, and all these kids and adults are going to be stuck in the middle. But what I found fascinating with this one was the use of older characters this time. Can was very specific in his book that when Irish people, he literally says both of the characters that we use, Irish people who say they know what it was like to be prejudiced against. And when the older generation who said, it's nothing like the 1950s, you don't know how bad it was. They said they don't know what they're talking about. And again, I wish I could remember how to Guanana. I'm so sorry, I cannot pronounce names for more than 2 seconds. I do try. Talks. In his book, he deliberately puts those two perspectives into the story so that you can see how they connected to the young people's story and how the two are going to connect in the end. So yeah, it's just pretty powerful. So that's talking about the books. Okay, I'm just this is going on a little bit. So what that made me think is, I wish though I'd read The Study Circle and In Our Mad and Furious City, which I probably just said the name wrong. No, I actually said it right. I don't need my prompts, at the same time. So I thought, well, more books could do with reading at the same time. So this is the TBR little bit of this talk, and my coffee's getting cold. So not just literary fiction, which they were, and I've lost one of the books. Have I? No, I've just missed because I was reading one of them. Imagine doing that. So these aren't all literary fiction. Some of these are actually I suppose it's urban fantasy, or yeah. So how about the ones that are set in London, which are urban fantasy, just for the fun of it. So what I will be reading together, so I can study and contrast them, is Simon Orgreen's Something from the Dark Nightside, which is actually nearly finished. Okay, it's a market paperback from America, and it's just, they don't hold up, but they're nice and light. And Rivers of London, by Ben Aaronovitch. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. So both of these are based with there's another London, and they're start a series, and at some stage there's some type of mystery in both of them. This one's recommended by my sister, and this one I don't know if this one was recommended. This I only got this because of Zoe Beck's like of the Ishmael series from this one, but and they both have a magical underside to London. There's different things, so I just thought they would be good contrast to each other. Okay, this one was because I'm contrary. Okay, Shaun the Book Maniac bailed on this really early. He said the writing was bad. So one of the things I wanted to do was read about Zimbabwe, and I was looking up female authors, and a book that had been recommended to me for a long time. It's by Goodreads, probably from when I started about 7-8 years ago, and he hated it, and he said read the other book. So I'm reading 2 books from Zimbabwe, and we're going to see, is Shaun the Book Maniac right or wrong? So Shaun Mooney, Shaun the Book Maniac. I am going to challenge again to see, you know. I read so widely, and I don't think I am as picky as some people, which is a problem, because how the hell do I eliminate books? And the next 2 I am reading, this one came in from Rare Birds this month. I am sorry if you haven't got your subscription yet. You should have. I got it last week. So yeah, everybody should have it. I'm really sorry if I just spoiled. And The Mermaid of Black Conch. This is set in Trinidad, and I believe it might happen a little bit in Tobago. So it's Trinidad and Tobago. This is also Trinidad and Tobago. So 2 books set. Though this one is more of a fantasy place that's more or less should be on the island of Tobago, I believe. But two Caribbean books more or less set in the same country when you have fantastical elements. And so these 2, how well, because again, I'm doing around the world in 80 books. Yeah, sorry, I was going to say around the world in 80 days. Around the world in 80 books challenge. I am reading 2 books for each of the 80 selections. And because of this, and because I actually think that you need more than one to judge. So their sense of place will be a big thing for this. As well as how I think so. But the 2, again, I just think it's interesting to read at the same time. Sorry. And yeah, so that's how that's changing my TBR. I'll put the list of the TBRs. Now, obviously the bit I've already mentioned halfway through this is I will be reading 6 books of the Jhalak prize as well. And the Jhalak prize, I don't even remember if I said this in the middle of this video, is a prize celebrating people of colour in the UK who are resident in the UK. You don't actually have to be, so sometimes American authors appear in it, which used to confuse me. Well, confused me in Australia a little bit. I'm very easily confused. And they have, I think it's more or less, if I remember, there's 12, more or less, I think it's about 4 poetry, 4 non-fiction, and 4 fiction, if I remember correctly. I have not chosen any poetry because I don't know how to choose poetry if I can't physically pick up the book and read it. I don't have enough experience of it to not. I prefer to do that. I assume some of the poetry will be shortlisted, so when it's shortlisted, I'll read them. And so I picked 3 non-fiction and 3 fiction, and I will be reading them in order of delivery, which is a non-fiction first, as it happens. And also they were selected only based on whether they're available in paperback, because if it was hardback, it was too expensive to buy, and there's no libraries open here. and there's unlikely to be libraries open here until at least June. And so, well, maybe the end of May. It's difficult to say. I'm not sure I finished that. I think I was somewhere about the libraries not being open and not being able to access books, so having to buy them. Yeah, you don't need to see the rant that came after that, but I might vlog this because life is very different at the moment in different countries, but it's not relevant to this conversation. So the Jhalak will be on my TBRs. They will come first as soon as they arrive. So as soon as they come in, because I have the 13th of April as a deadline, out of 6, so let's hope it gets 3 of them will be shortlisted, so I only have 3 more to read. I think it's the middle of May for their thing, so I really recommend this prize. So if I'm going to link actually Melanie at Mel's Bookland Adventures. This is why I use props for books, by the way. I sort of just merge names. Yeah, so Melanie from Mel's Bookland Adventures. Her discussion on the list below, for those who are not aware of it. I really suggest checking that out because the prize is full of surprising books, and it's a real mixed bag. And yeah, I want to see how we do in this. The women's prize is my favorite time of year, but I love the prediction videos way more than the actual long list. I just realized that this week. I actually think that people's predictions make me buy so many books. And then it was International Women's Day, so there's quite a few more other books coming in onto my TBR as well. And then the books upstairs shop had a sale, and they had 2 particularly interesting female writers in their sale. So I have quite a lot of female author books coming in, but they're going to be pushed back to after the Jhalak read this and after these guys, which I'll be reading together. So yeah, there's my little rambling on about where I think what I will read and what and how my reading will be affected by reading one book. So it has actually helped me focus at least on putting books together, still maintaining my wide range of tastes, and yeah, and it also has, I was going to do it anyway, encourage me to read, because this won the Jhalak 2 years ago. Sorry if you can't see that. This won the Jhalak 2 years ago. Why not try and read a lot from the long list? I'm a too slow a reader. And see, can I get all 6 of the shortlist for the prize and have my thing? Because I've never done this before, and I'm quite excited to do it. My prediction, because the book I read last year was European. Anyway, shortlisted and then I won. I was just amazing. I just looked at the books and I knew which one I wanted. I was actually chuffed. This is me just going on and on, rambling on, but chuffed for European, because one of my friends' aunt, who is the mother of my godson, so identifies very much that she didn't have the term, but she identifies as European, and she wants her children to as well. She's very fortunate to have French heritage and Congo heritage, and she wants her children to have that and their Irish heritage as well. So that's why I was so interested when European came out, to see somebody's take on this. Yeah, so I was sorry. The rambling on is making this video very long, and I have horrible upload speed, so I'm going to wrap up. My coffee went cold. But meanwhile, I hope whatever you're reading that you're enjoying it. Please do comment down below. Even just say hello, and I'll just say hello back. You don't have to feel obliged to say, because I know some people think, what do I say? I mean, that's fine. And until next time, I hope whatever you're reading, you enjoy it. Bye now.